So welcome back. In today's video, we are going to try to build a zoo management system. So we have this question here. Build a zoo management system where a zookeeper takes care of different types of animals. Each animal should belong to a specific class, e.g. lion, cheetah, monkey, and should be able to make a unique sound and eat their preferred food. The zookeeper should interact with animals by listening to their sounds and feeding them accordingly. Meaning in this first part of this question, they are requiring us to build a zoo management system or a zoo management program, whereby in this program we should have a zookeeper, we should have different kinds of animals among others. So in the animals should make unique sound. This one is very crucial. Should make unique sound and eat their preferred food. The zookeeper should interact with animals by listening to their sounds and making them and feeding them accordingly. Implement inheritance to ensure each animal extends from a base animal class while overriding necessary behaviors. How do you design this system in Java? So they are requiring us to build a zoo management system whereby we have a zookeeper. The zookeeper taking care of these kinds of animals by feeding them, and these animals themselves should be able to make sounds and eat their preferred food. So let us try to build this system in Java. Yeah, and at the end of the video, the source code will be in the description below. Yeah. So the first thing that we shall do is we shall start by creating a zookeeper class, because in the question they wanted a zoo system, a zoo management system having a zookeeper. So let us create a class for a zookeeper, zookeeper.java. Now inside here, our zookeeper is going to have a name which is in a string format for the start. And what I can do is that I want automatically, if the system starts, I want to create the name of this zookeeper. So I can use a constructor. I will say public zookeeper. This is going to be expecting some arguments. Is a string name. So we shall use this keyword to separate this incoming name and this current name. So I'll set this name is equal to the name. So what does this do? This will, remember, this is now a local variable and this is the argument that it is coming in. So I'm setting this local variable or this local name to the coming name. So after doing that, I'll come back to my main. I'll create a new instance of that class. I'll say zookeeper is equal to name, which is equal to zookeeper new zookeeper dot. Now here I'm passing a string format, which is John is the zookeeper. In this case, the name I have assigned to our zookeeper is John. So automatically after doing that, and I come and compile this, compile and run, you see that after, I'm having an issue. So you will see, so what I can do is that I can print this system.out so that I see this name. This is the zookeeper. This is the zookeeper. So to access this name, I can say name dot I go. This is the instance that I have created, name.name, something like this. So when I run and compile and run, you see that this is the zookeeper. John is the zookeeper. So I can share some colonies here. John is a, let me first this terminal, compile and run. This is the ZooKeeper, John is the ZooKeeper. So I have successfully created my ZooKeeper. So the next thing is that I will create now the zoo itself. So I'll come here, say, remember the zoo is the one is the one going to consist of the animals. So before I create the animals, I'll first create the zoo. So I'll say zoo.java. Inside here, our zoo is going to be having our ZooKeeper. So I can say ZooKeeper is equal to name in this case. So what I can do here, I can do the same thing as I did for the ZooKeeper class. I can come and assign this ZooKeeper to my zoo class. Yeah, something like that. So this will change to keeper. I'll create a new constructor, say public ZooKeeper. ZooKeeper. This is a constructor for the zoo. Sorry, it is expecting a string, which is the name. So I'm assigning. No, it is expecting a keeper. Yeah, which is the name in this case. Expecting a keeper. So I'll do the same thing. This dot keeper is equal to keeper himself. Something like this. So what I will do is that keeper, we're having issues. Cannot convert string to zoo.keeper. I'm having here an issue. So this should be name, and I'm assigning name something like this. We're having issues. Okay, I see the issue now. So this should be keeper, and this should be small letters, keeper, and this should be keeper, and this should be keeper. I think that should be okay. We're still having issues with our keeper. Okay, I have seen the issue. Test. Katika njia ZooKeeper. So after creating here, so let me create the zoo, because the question is saying after creating the ZooKeeper, now we have to create the zoo. So inside the zoo is where we are going to find different kinds of animals. So I will say zoo.java. So inside my zoo.java, we are going to assign this zoo a keeper. So I will say keeper is going to be of type. Sorry, we already have the ZooKeeper. ZooKeeper is going to be, this zoo is going to have a ZooKeeper. So I'll create constructor. So I'll say our zoo is going to be having a ZooKeeper. So this zoo is going to be expecting a ZooKeeper as the type, and this keeper is going to come in as an argument. So I will say this dot keeper, I assign the keeper a new name, something like this. So I'll come here in my Java. After creating this, I'll come in my Java main.java. I'll say zoo is equal to my zoo, name it my zoo, is equal to the new instance. Zoo is expecting a zoo name, something like this. So after creating here my constructor, I have called my constructor or my class in my main.java, and I have assigned the name. Remember, I already have this name here, so I have assigned the name to this zoo. So the next thing that we shall do is that now we have to create animals inside our zoo. Yeah, we have to create animals inside our zoo. Currently, we don't have animals. So far, what we have done is that we have created a ZooKeeper, and we have successfully created our zoo. So we have to add animals into our zoo. So in the question was requiring us to create the animal class being our main class, and the lion, cheetah, and the monkey being our subclasses. So let's go. So I'll create here animal.java. Inside my animal, I'm going to put our animal is going to have a string, which is the name. It is going to have a string, which is the sound. Our animal is going to be making sound. Remember, the animal attributes was the animal should be able to make a sound. The animal should have a name. What is the third thing? Let me see. The third thing is that the animal should eat. So those are some of the attributes that we have, or should feed. Those are some of the attributes that we should have for our animal. So I'll create here inside my animal. We are having this. So what I can do is that I can create other animals based on these three attributes. So let me create the lion.java. So this lion.java is also going to be extending attributes, extends attributes of the animal, of the main animal. I'll create here, the third one was, it was the lion, the cheeter.java, and lastly we had the monkey.java. But remember, all these are extending attributes of the main animal. The same thing with the cheetah. In this case, cheetah extends the animal class. So now let us create these animals. So what I can do is that I don't want to each and every time to, what I can do is I can come on each and every animal and create a name. But remember, I already have this name in the main.java. So what I can do is that I can come create a constructor for this class, public, then animal. This animal is going to be accept arguments of string, which is the name, comma, is going to accept the sound, which is also in the string format, string, which is sound, and lastly the eating or feeding, which is also a string, something like this. So all of these three I'm going to assign. So I can say this dot name is equal to name, and this dot sound is equal to sound. So I'm creating a constructor, and all of these arguments are going to be coming in. Then I set them to this animal. So I'll do all the three that I have. It is equal to something like this. So this is my main what? My main class, or my main class that I created, and all these ones are extending attributes. And you can see that they are extending attributes of this main. So I'll come here in my, let me begin with the lion. So I'll create a constructor for this lion, and I will try to assign attributes to this lion class using this animal. So I'll say lion is going to have a name which is dynamic, a string, and this is the name. So I will say super. Remember the super keyword that we used earlier. Those ones who are not familiar with this super, you can go, I have a video explaining the super keyword. So this super keyword is going to have the name. So what does this super keyword? Remember, this lion class is extending attributes of its parent class. So when I use the super, this means now I can access attributes in the animal. But remember, now I'm creating this lion in this case. So this is going to be the sound. So sound is going to be lion's roar. Yeah, if I'm not lying, the sound that lions make, they roars. So I can say roars. The name is going to be dynamic. So here I'm trying to create the lion itself. So sound, the feeding is that lions feed, lion feeding on meat. Yeah, lions feed on meat, if I'm not lying. So I'll do the same thing here for other animals. So I can copy this, come here in my other animal. So in this case, this is the cheetah. The cheetah is also the cheetah is having a dynamic, is going to be having a dynamic name. Remember, we are this dynamic name is that it is going to come from my main. I can first remove this. It is going to come from my main. I'm going to be sending arguments of these particular animals, but these ones are not dynamic. That's why I'm auto filling them here. So I can also make them dynamic, but I only want the name to be dynamic. So the lion, the cheetah. So which sound does the cheetah does? I've forgotten. The cheetah, let me give it just a weird sound. Don't know the sound for the cheetah, but the cheetah feeds on also cheetah also feeds on meat. So I'll do the same thing for the monkey, which is our last animal. Monkey. The sound for the monkey is oo, 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 ah. Yeah, if I'm not lying, oo, is the is the monkey sound. So monkey feeding on bananas. Yeah, something like this. So the next thing is that, remember, our question was requiring us that all these animals are going to be eating and feeding. So uh, feeding and making sound. So what I can do is that I will come here in my lion class. I'll say uh, this lion is going to be making a sound. So I can create here a make sound method. So I'll say make sound. In this case, this is going to be system.out. Make sound is going to be just a void data type, system.out. I can say I already have the name. So name, which is the lion, is going to be making, and lion can give some space here. Give some space in this case. Lion, the lion is making sound. The lion is making sound. The next thing is that they're going to be public, making sound. The other thing was sound, and they are going to be eating. So I'll create eat, which is a void method. So I'll say system dot print out in a new line, and which animal. So I'm going to be, this animal is going to be dynamic. So my animals are going to be having unique names, but their behaviors are going to be, as I explained earlier, they're going to be static. That's why the name is the one which is dynamic for all animals. So I'll say name, I'll say this, the lion the lion is feeding, in this case. And the other thing is that I remember I already have the sound. This lion is making a sound, which is, I can now attach the sound here. So I'll give some space here. Can now attach the sound. Which sound? I already know the sound, which is extending attributes from the main animal. So I can reuse this to all other animals, but let me begin with the main animal. Remember, this is my main animal. So we are going to use concepts of overriding, whereby these two methods are going to be overridden by the subclasses. So make sound, which is sound name, this is making, so it's making sound instead of lion, so is feeding. Yeah, something like this. So I can use this to all other animals. The monkey, in this case, the monkey, the monkey. This is going to be the monkey. Yeah, so far we are doing great. I'm going to do the same thing as of the cheetah. The cheetah is the one remaining. So this is the cheetah. Say cheetah. Cheetah. Yeah, something like this. So after doing all this, now all my animals can make sounds. They can make sound and they can eat. So the next thing is that now let me create these names. Let me give dynamic names to my animals. So I'll come here in my main.java. The good thing I already have my zoo. So to keep in mind, I can use an array to store my animals. Yeah, in the simpler way, because I want a gazetted place whereby I'm going to have my animals in one place, so I can use an array in that case. So I'll come here in my zoo. I'll come here in my zoo, where is zoo.java, here down, here up. I create a list. So to create an array, first create a list. But remember, my array is going to be an array of the types. It's going to be from animal, and these are animals. These are animals, which is equal to new dot array list. This case new dot array list, something like this. Now this list is coming from java dot. Yeah, so this is I have initialized my array to be of type animal, so meaning this is going to be inheriting attributes of this class. So inside my zoo, after doing that, I have initialized it to being an empty array. So now I can enter animals inside this empty array. So I'll come here in my main class, I will say, but remember, we need a method that it is going to help me to add. Yeah, how am I going to add these animals? So I will keep in there, I will say public add animal is going to be this is going to be of type for it. So this one is going to be, remember, our animal is only expecting the name, which is dynamic. So in this case, I'll say animal is equal to, I'll call my animals dot add. What am I adding? I'm adding the name, which is equal to name, something like this. Animals dot add, I'm adding the name. So after each and every time that I add, I want to show the user that I have added. So I'll print out some statement here. I'll say animal name has been, or I'll say animal has been created. So each and every time that this animal, I will say this method is called and the animal is, but we are still having some issues. Let me see. So this is not equals. For arrays, we don't assign, just give the name in this case. So I'll say animals.add. We are still having issues. The method animal is not applicable for the argument string. In this case, this is a string. No, this shouldn't be a string. This should be of type animal. Yeah, not a string. So each and every time that we add, we're going to say animal has been created successfully. But I already know the name, so I can say name animal. No, that makes sense. So I'll just say animal has been created successfully. So I'll just come here inside my main. Come here. I will say, let me create one by one. I'll first begin by creating. Let me create the lion first. So I'll say, I'll come here. So, but keep in mind that I have to create each animal. Each animal is having a unique name. So I have to assign, let me say Lion, I give it a name. Monkey, I give it a name. Cheetah, I give it a name. So what will I do? The good thing is that my zoo here, my add, I have initialized it to the type of animal, meaning here I can now create instances of those animals. So I will say my zoo dot I access the add animal method. So inside here I can create a new instance. My new instance is going to be of these animals. Remember, I already have these animals, and these animals are having these constructors, and the constructors themselves are expecting names to be coming in. So I'll say new dot lion, which is expecting a name. In this case, the name is, let me give, my lion is going to be which name can I give to this this lion here? Let me give it. There is this new movie. It's called what? Actually, it's not a new movie. It's called Mufasa. So Mufasa, Mufasa. Yeah, I can name it Mufasa. So I'll do the same thing for the rest. Add animal. The next animal will be the cheetah. So I can name this cheetah as Tango. And lastly is the monkey. I can name this as Tunj, something like this. I can give it a good name. Let me call it like monkey 0, at least something like this. So each and every time these new instances are being created, we shall come here in the lion.java, we create the name. So each and every time then these new instances are mounted, but remember they are mounted using this instance of my zoo, meaning each and every time this is going to be called, we shall assign a new name to this lion, the lion instance. The same thing here, the same thing here, something like this. So let us compile this and we see so far where we have reached. So java dot, sorry, let me first clear. So I'll clear this. I'll say java compile. After compiling the generate our classes, then java dot run the main. So let me first, animal has been created successfully, animal has been created successfully, animal has been created successfully. So instead of animal, let me use action names. So I'll come here in my zoo. I will say name, give some space here, something like this. Give some space, missing colonies. So let me clear this. Java compile and run. So animal has been created successfully, but remember this has to be dot animal because we want to access these animal attributes here, in this case here inside my animal. So I'll say compile, clear this again, compile and run. So Mufasa has been created successfully. Tango has been created. Yeah, we have successfully now created our animals, and after creating our animals, we have successfully added them to our array. Yeah, so that's interesting. So what is the next thing? So the next thing is that now we have to feed these animals, and these animals have to make sounds. So what I'll do is that I will first come here. So who is responsible for feeding these animals? It is the ZooKeeper. So I'll make changes to the ZooKeeper class. So I'll come here. Remember, the ZooKeeper has to have access to all animals, and later give after having access to these animals, the zookeeper now can assign or can give food to these animals. So I'll come here in my zookeeper class. Where is it? Down here. Down here I can say the zookeeper. So we shall use our method, our for each method, if you remember, or our advanced for loop, to access all members, all animals in this array that we created in our this array. So I will say the zoo keeper is going, let me create a public void method. So this is going to be interacting method. So I will say interact. So this is the method. But I have remembered one thing. So I will say, I can say system.out. This is our interacting method. What I have remembered is that we need an opening statement. So after compiling this and running, you see that we are having Mufasa has been created successfully, Tengu has been created successfully, but we need to show the user some opening statement. Let me say like welcome to our zoo, something like this. So I'll come here in my zoo. Here, before I do anything, I'll create here a welcome public welcome method. So this is a void. This is a void. Welcome to our zoo. So I'll say system.out welcome to our zoo. I can give in some emojis. Welcome to our zoo. So after welcoming the user, so what should be done next? Here, after welcoming, now we should call the other interact. Yeah, now here, which means here, now we can interact with our animals. So I will say, I'll call the advanced follow-up in this case, inside, not outside. Remember, you have to interact with the zookeeper has to interact with the animals. So I can do here an advanced follow-up. In this case, I'll say for. The good thing is that I can have access to the animal, which is in this case have access to a single animal. But remember, there it is an array of animals. In this case, it is an array of animals, something like this. I can have access to a single animals from my array of animals, the one that I created here up. So I can now start assigning. Can create. Remember I already have this interact method that I created from my zookeeper. So I can come here. Here, where is it? Where is my zoo? So I'll say animal. I can say I want each and every. So I can say keeper dot interact, something like this. So each and every time I call this function, this statement is going to be executed, and we are going to loop through all the animals, and through the animals that we are looping through, we shall call this keeper.interact coming straight from the keeper here that I created up, so that we are able to interact with our animals. So that's how the system is going to flow, something like that. So I'll come here in my main. I'll call this animal main. Where is it? Main. So I'll say my zoo dot welcome. Where is welcome? Welcome. So when I try to run and compile this, I'm expecting a nice welcome message and successfully creating each and everything that is needed. So compile and run. See, Mufasa has been created successfully. Thing has been created successfully. Welcome to our zoo. This is our interact method. This is our interact method. So it is printing 3 times because we have looped through all the animals that we have. Remember, I have created 3 animals. In this case, we have looped all three animals, and we have gained access to a single item, to a single animal. That's why we are having 3 outcomes. So inside here, in this interact method, so now the next step is now to feed these animals. Yeah, time to feed these animals. So what I can do is I can create a nice feeding mechanism whereby I can auto generate messages. So I have to first know which animal am I feeding, meaning this has to accept, or this is going to be expecting some argument or an animal that I should feed. Being that I already have access to this animal, can I make it dynamic to my interact here? Where is my keeper? Here. I make it dynamic. It is very possible. So I can say animal. You are expecting an animal, in this case coming. So I'll come here in my zoo. I pass this animal in this case, something like this. So meaning my interact method now has a single animal. We are having access to a single animal. So automatically, if I come here and I say animal dot name, you see that I can now have access to all animal names. Yeah, which is a nice thing, because I want to know which animal am I going to feed and how are these animals going to behave. So after compiling this and run, you see that Tango has been created successfully. Welcome, Fasa. This is Fasa. This is Tango. Yeah, this is interesting now. So let me do something interesting with these animals. Remember, now I have these animals now. I have their sounds, I have their names, and I have their eating mechanism. So I can do anything here. So being that I'm a zookeeper, I can now give food to these animals. Yeah, it is very possible. So what I can do is that I can create some messages. If I'm feeding, I'm doing this. Let me say I'm throwing some food to the monkey, something like this, some interesting messages. So these messages can be in an array. What I can do is that I can make an array of these methods, of these messages, then I auto loop into those messages using the indexes to assign each activity that I'm doing to this animal. So if I'm feeding it, I can say I'm throwing some mangoes or I'm throwing some bananas to the monkey. Yeah, that's interesting. So create an array of strings. So these are going to be my messages, feeding messages, which is an array. So I can say equal to something like this. So I can say uh, in this case the first one is going to be and say I already have my name, which is name. I already have my name. My name is here, the zookeeper. I already created it. So I feeding a lion, and I already know the lion name. Thereby, I know where to get it from the animal dot name. Remember this animal that is coming in as an argument. So I will say create another message. Throwing bananas to the monkey. So this has to be a command, something like this. So I'll create another method, but even here I already know the name. So animal dot name. I'll create another message. So this message is saying I'm feeding a cheetah. I'm feeding it with food. Or I can say I'm feeding food to, yeah, I think that is more decisive, to say as feeding, I already know the name. So something like this. I can create the last one. This I have like example messages. I can remove this feeding raw meat, something like this. So I say animal dot name. So these are so far my messages, my array of messages. Now can I assign random messages to my animal? Yes. What can I use? I can use the random utility that Java provides. I'll say random coming in from Java utility. So this is random. So it is random dot math, if I'm not lying, and I'll say random, but remember this has to be new instance of random, something like this. Yeah, except this to be working as intended. So if I already have this random, so this random is going to be giving me it is going to be giving me access to random numbers. So I can say system.out. Remember, I have to assign these messages to my animals. So I'll say system.out. I'll call these feeding. I'm going to be looping through my random messages. My random messages, which is an array, I'll say random to give me the random number, the next int, and the next integer is going to be coming from the feeding messages dot length. So this random number has to be equal to these messages, the length of these messages. It shouldn't be beyond these. That's why I'm getting this random, but this is going to return an integer, and I'm accessing using the next int. The next int means now we are bound to return an integer value in this case. So the integer value is the length of our messages. So something like this. So can I compile this and I say compile and run, and we see that is happening. John is the zookeeper feeding the lion. Hey, you can see that we have successfully generated. John is the zookeeper throwing bananas to the monkey Mufasa. John is the zookeeper feeding the lion Tango. John is the. So you have successfully done this, but I'm having issues somewhere. John is the feeding the lion Tango. Zookeeper feeding the lion. Is the zookeeper feeding there? So I'm having lion and lion on each and every. So I'll come here up, and I say move this feeding, and I can put here some space. We are leaving out some space. Some space is needed on all of this. So when I try to compile and run, the John is the zookeeper feeding raw meat to Mufasa. Yeah, this is going to work, but I think I should give here, now I should use the sound. Remember, each and every time, so I can put this back. So to feed these animals, animals must make some sound. So I can say animal dot, I already have the sound, make sound method that I created on each and every animal. So when I try to run this and compile, expecting everything to work as intended, then run. Yeah, you see that welcome to our zoo. Further, the Lion King is making sound roars. So in this case, our statements is making sound. That is making sound, which is, I can put here something interesting. I can do the same thing here for the monkey. I can remove this sound, making sound, and the cheetah itself. I can remove this. So when I compile and run, I'm expecting a welcome statement, and I'm expecting a certain animals to make sound, and I'm expecting random messages or my zookeeper giving food to these lions, to these animals. So I'll say, after creating this successfully, welcome to our zoo. First, the lion is making the sound, which is roars. John is the zookeeper, the Mufasa. John is the zookeeper feeding the Mufasa. So I will come here, my zookeeping method here. John is the zookeeper feeding Mufasa. So in this case, this sound here, John is the zookeeper food. John is the zookeeper feeding food to Tengo. John is the zookeeper feeding. The monkey is making hoo hoo ha, and John is, so each and every time the monkey, or each and every time the lion makes a sound, John feeds. The same thing with the cheetah and the same thing with the monkey. Just the statements that I used. Monkey 0, the monkey somewhere here in making sound is, remove this, making sound. Even for the lion is, even for the cheetah. Please, these names should be describing some actor, not just throwing names. So Walker Mufasa is making, this one is okay, and John is the zookeeper feeding raw meat to Mufasa. Tango is making the sound. John is the zookeeper feeding food to Tango. Is making Hua. John is feeding the monkey 0. So that's everything that I wanted. So, but remember, we have to show this eat. So after John giving out food, John has to, these animals have to eat. So I'll come here in my zoo class, in my zookeeping. So I can say, after everything, I can say animal can now access the dot eat on every animal. So something like this. So remember the eat that I created on each and every animal, and can now access it. This method that I created here, the eat. So each and every time I call the other, each and every time that I call this animal class, which is the parent class in this case, I'm going to have access to this eat, and it is going to be overriding. These ones are going to be overriding this eat in the main. The same thing with the make sound. So when I run this and compile, I'm able to see, yeah, that's it. I'm able to see, welcome to our zoo. Mufasa is eating, is making Ifasu rolls. John the zookeeper is the one feeding the bananas to Mufasa, and then Mufasa, the lion, is feeding. Yeah. So after everything, after assigning these messages, the lion has to eat, but it first makes sound, then later we feed and it eats. So that's our zoo class that we have managed to come up with. Thank you for following.